Welcome, Sacramento soccer fans, to the State of the Republic podcast. I'm your host, Luis, and in today's episode, we have a few things to talk about. First things first, yesterday we had a preseason friendly. We won 5-2 against the Quakes 2, Quakes B, whatever you want to call them, because apparently they don't really have an official name. They've been known as the town in the past, so we're still trying to figure that out. So we have Sharon and John here who were at the game yesterday to tell us more about that, since all we could really see were the stories that the team posted on the goals, and even those are gone, and I didn't see a post out there unless Sharon tells me otherwise, so we could share it here on the screen. Of course, we'll talk about the Meet the Team event that happened after the game. Sharon and John will let us know how that went, how their conversations with the players there were as well. And then, of course, we'll talk about our two new signings, MLS experienced guys, Mark Anthony Kaye, played with the national team, World Cup, and then Memo Rodríguez as well, who also has plenty of MLS playing experience. And then finally, we'll also hint at a potential new signing for the club, but not a player, but someone in the front office. So definitely want to tune in here towards the end of the episode. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and what might be coming up here in, I don't know, maybe the next week or 2 weeks or so, but definitely before the home opener match is what I would assume here. All right, well, Jared's not with us today. He's on a bus headed home out there, but he'll join us back next Sunday. But in his place, though, kind of a substitution of sorts here, we do have John Crawford, who's joined us on the podcast at other times. You guys probably remember him here. So let's go ahead and introduce John back to State of the Republic. How's it going, John?
Hey, thank you for inviting me. I'm doing great. Had a really good preseason match last night, and a lot of fun, and it's nice to see all the new players.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to be at the game yesterday. Yeah, it looked like it was a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of goals and a lot of new players to see, right? So we're all really excited to hear more of how that went, since we weren't able to see it, being that it wasn't televised, only through the stories, but even then we don't really get too much perspective there. All right, and next let's go over to someone else who was also at the game, Sharon over in Elk Grove. How's it going, Sharon?
Hey, yeah, hi. Everything is going great. I got there blazes early. I even beat John Crawford there to the game, because as I'm walking through, I look up into section 106 and I don't see John up in the stands. I had to come back to say hello to John, but it was great. Number one, to see all of our friends and our family that we've created amongst ourselves, and then to see the new players. I mean, I can't wait to get into it. I can't wait to, to just do a little bit of an analysis of the match. It'll be really good. Thank you. Thank you and John, thank you so much for stepping in.
My pleasure.
Yeah, for you to beat John, you had to be there really early, right? It doesn't happen often.
Doesn't happen often.
But hey, that's why we're really excited, right? I mean, I'm sure there was more people that were there when you got there. It's been too long, right? We needed to have a game already, and at least an open door game. So
my entire girl gang was there. Oh my gosh, I've got some stories. So we'll get to those in a little bit.
All right. Well, next let's go over to Natomas, to Rian. Welcome back, Rian. How's it going?
Hey, Luis. Happy to be back. Sorry I was out last week. I wasn't feeling well. So, yeah, happy to be back. I'm very curious to hear what Sharon and John think of the preseason friendly and how the team is lining up. And also, did I hear some trash talking last week? Some people think they're going to come for my crown. What the heck? It's like, I'm sorry. I've seen all possibilities, and I only see one outcome here, and it's just me with the crown at the end of the season. But, happy to be back. Happy to be talking Republic soccer. And, yeah, we're less than 2 weeks out from the regular season starting.
There may have been some trash talking. Obviously, you listened or you watched the pod. You didn't even give us XG. You should have given us XG on expected guffaws and things like that, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty confident that it's going to be someone else, just because you can't go off the stats for this season because there's so many new players, right? And so it's not the same as last season, where I think we were pretty consistent. I think there's a lot. I mean, the starting 11 is changing, and I don't even think this preseason friendly tells us all the story, right? It's just a preseason friendly, and yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But I'm just saying,
I don't think we should tell Rion that you're planning on having us pick our stuff next weekend. Let's just keep it a secret so that he's caught by surprise, and he has to pull a rabbit out of his hat next Sunday when we record.
Oh, that's fine. I already have my picks locked in.
Oh.
Oh.
All right, man's on it.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's gonna make sure he's gonna have a picks knowing, right? Because obviously, if you don't submit a pick, you lose out on the week, which that didn't happen last season. But if it does happen, you lose points.
Hey, John. Well, I've used Rion in past picks, but John, have you been one of my lucky rabbit's foot proxies?
A couple of years ago, I was better. Last year, you tried, and I think I was over. So
that's funny.
Well, there are times of charm, right? We're gonna have plenty of proxies this season, and we're actually gonna establish them a little more. I know last season we forgot when it was, but I think we'll have them better planned this year, so we can have that going on. And Rion's gonna have to be wise about who he picks, because that could also determine things.
Watch, he's gonna raid the Quail City.
Oh hell yeah, I am.
Oh, I hate you.
I know I'm gonna go ask Valor immediately when you bring up proxies.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. Well, I get Ryan Hodek then. If you're gonna pick Valor Nash, I'll just pick Ryan Hodek and or Daniel. Oh my gosh, this will be fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we talk about yesterday's game, let's go ahead and give our golossos of gratitude. So, Sharon, go ahead and start us off.
Hey, I'm just happy for sunshine. I'm grateful that we've had a couple days of really good sunshine, because I think I got some extra vitamin D, and just so grateful that the club was able to pull off a preseason friendly with everything. I mean, the VIP food was fabulous. I mean, and all the people were great. And meeting somebody really special. We'll talk about that later. And then grateful for the Tower Bridge Battalion. I know there was a reason why there was no drums. This is the only match that the drummers don't drum, because they get to watch the game, and they were happy to do that. So it was great to see all the TVB folks and, all the things that they stand for and what they're working on. It was just great. It's been great. Friends are great. It's been wonderful seeing the family. Just grateful for all of everything. My sister bought me a sweater. Talk about that in a little bit. Rion, what about you?
Yeah, I have a couple golossos. Firstly, shout out to the team for putting on another preseason friendly, getting a result against San Jose Earthquakes too. My first golosso goes out to FIFA, because I again got lucky and I have more World Cup tickets in the latest draw that happened. So
what? Oh my
god! I got lucky and I got more tickets than I applied for. So that's awesome,
dude. I will so pay you. Where?
So Spain versus Saudi Arabia, I think that's in Atlanta, and then Netherlands versus Japan in Dallas.
Okay, I'm not going to go to either one of those locations, so have fun. It's crazy.
Yeah. I just booked my hotel and plane tickets, and those be expensive right now. Holy cow. Damn. But
there goes your savings.
Yeah, I've been saving up since this World Cup was announced, so that's what I had that money for. Yeah, that's my first golosso. My second golosso goes out to my work friend Elliot, my work husband. I call him my work husband. He put in his 2 weeks a couple weeks ago, and his last day is this Thursday. And we've been working together for 5 years now, and I just want to say thanks, buddy. I know you're probably not listening to this, but thanks for 5 years, man. Sad to see you go, but I'm happy that you're going to a different opportunity out of this place that we work at. So yeah, just a Golasso there. Luis, any Golasso? Oh, wait, no. Should we go to John? John,
Yeah.
any Golossos?
Well, obviously the team for putting on a nice preseason match. The weather, for making it, first forecast when that match was announced was rain, rain, rain. So a wonderful night. A little cold, but wonderful night. And then I'm just gonna, do a fallback and say, thank you to Kevin Nagel, not only for funding a lot of the stuff and getting a new partner in, but for the work that he's been doing over in Huddersfield during this last break, where he brought in a whole bunch of players to cover for the lack of good attitude on his team, and they have turned around and are back in contention again. So at Huddersfield, so I'm thankful for that. Luis?
Yeah, for me, just gloss gratitude out to the team for putting together the preseason game, also including the Meet the Team event, which I think they've been doing so lately, right at the beginning of the season. I remember a few years back they did that, was it mid to late season, and just didn't seem like it was the right time. And then just another gloss of gratitude out to everyone who listens to the podcast, because I saw the numbers of that interview. Again, I go back to the interview that we did a few weeks ago, and they were really good. So just thank you to everyone. I know we're working on getting more interviews done, but it makes me feel good that the work that gets put into having those interviews and then hearing those stories, and we get a lot of you listening to them and sharing them. I mean, it was great. So shout out to you guys for listening to the podcast here. But with that, let's go ahead and talk about the game yesterday. Obviously, me and Rian weren't at the game, so Sharon, John, we rely on you guys to tell us your side of it and how things were, and also for the audience who may have not been at the game, tell us just how was attendance, how were things yesterday?
So I will say the whole West Side, it felt full and loud. Especially when you listen to the replays of the goal scoring and a little bit of that, you actually hear a very loud crowd. It doesn't look like it was a big crowd when you look over on the east side, but I honestly, there were a lot of people in attendance, so that felt great. That they had like I said earlier, they had the VIP area open, so there were people in there, and just okay. So they had extra players on the bench, so that made things feel a little bit fuller. But they had all of the staff. All of the staff were there. They were in their positions. They were in their place. Scott Moak was there. Dustin Vicari was there. Like everybody that was supposed to be in a spot were all there. There's some new faces, some returning faces. It was great. John, what did you think about the crowd and how loud we were?
Crowd was surprisingly more than I expected. Probably maybe about 2,500 at the most. But
I thought it was more.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because the area above the battalion wasn't very full at all. But they had a lot of players. I mean, a lot of staff that was, they were in mid-season form in many respects, and it was really nice to actually see a lot of them returning too. So, and the Cal Expo security folks were not a pain in the rear end. So it was easy to get in, and nobody bothered you.
No, that was a plus. And we all got a message. I don't know if it's just us girls or if everybody got the message that they didn't have all the parking attendants there. So a lot of people just parked in the VIP area, even though they still had things cordoned off. So that was kind of funny. No tailgate yesterday, and that was fine. I'm sure people still hung out their cars. Now, getting into the game, when the crowd went wild, by the way, when the players took the pitch for warmups, and then when I say wild, I could hear them, because when they took pitch for warmups, I was actually up in the VIP area, and I could hear the buzz, from all around that was really cool to see the warm-ups, and then to see, because you can always tell who the starting 11 are before it comes out on the and I don't think they did a starting 11 on any of the social medias just because it's a preseason friendly. I don't know if you guys saw one. Did you guys, anybody see one?
No.
On socials? Okay. So when they do the warm-ups, there's a specific 11 that warm up separately, or 10 field players besides the keepers. So we already knew that Danny Vidiola was going to start in goal, but to see the lineup, I mean, you know, we're all used to Luis Felipe, Nick Ross, all of that. Everything in front of Freddie, Lee, Jack, and Michelle, it was all brand new. It was people that we didn't know anything how they played and how they would work together. So that was interesting to just see 2 tall center back starters, and then Jack and Michelle on either side of those guys. And then to see the mid of Danny Crisostomo, who, by the way, is number 27, Pep Casas. Not wild about him yet, number 24. Arturo Rodríguez, the number 10. And Memo, who asked Roro if they could use his 8, and Roro agreed. So that's the story behind Memo being able to use the number 8. And then in front of them were forwards Kyle Edwards, who's the 71, and then Mael Malongo, who's the 7. Now, Mael, he drifts left. So we'll talk about that in a second, about how strong the left side looked. But that's kind of when we saw who was going to be starting. I didn't know anybody from anybody, you know, once, you know, the familiar faces, once you put those aside, you really had to focus on this preseason match to know who everybody was. By the end of the game, we pretty much knew. John, what did you think?
Yeah, as far as when they started play, Pep disappeared, and then he was the main one. But I mean, if you want to, I don't think we move into tactics, but I mean, I made some initial guesses in our chat room, but it was based upon that I was thinking we had 3 in the back, and what they've done is gone to a 4-4-2, and so that's what makes it so interesting and a little complicated in the midfield. But if you watched what they did with the certain players that they had in those positions, it was really interesting to see the movement of the players. And really what happened is your 2 strikers were basically on the outside, or a little bit, and Memo was sort of in the center, and he was almost like taking the point on all the defensive side of things, and he was in charge of the press. So that's they have a lot of movement in and out of that 4-4-2, but it's all with people swapping and moving. So it was really fun to watch for a while, and see some of the tactics that they were using.
So, John, I'm going to pull this out of your statements. One of the things that you had mentioned was it looked like we were Danny cruising everybody. So if everybody remembers, and John reminded us when Las Vegas Lights had Danny Cruz as their head coach in the playoffs, and what Las Vegas Lights did to us then is a little bit of what we looked like yesterday. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, multiple coming in from the outside, bringing the ball in straight across the field, perpendicular to goal, and then you have players crisscrossing at angular runs in front of them, so that the individual has multiple lanes to pass, or it opens up a potential for a shot. So I really hated it when I saw that Las Vegas running on us, because we were actually there watching, and we were just getting, we were being left in the dust, and holes were opening up all over the place. And then with those angular runs, next thing you know, you've got somebody running vertical, and it's just, wow, he went through an opening, and there it is. So, and that's in some respects what Mael is set up to do. He as soon as he's running angular, then all of a sudden, bam, up he goes vertical, and then they get it up and over to him.
He was amazing. I have to say, Malongo. Now, granted, we were playing against the kids, and I was hollering that from the stands. Hey, let's beat the children, and it's like whatever. I was being rude, as usual. But what Mael did, he literally walked the ball into the goal. And I shouldn't say walk the ball. He made it look like he was just walking the ball into the goal, with a little tap in. But that's not what was happening. The dude has wheels. He and Michel Benitez played very well together. It was almost as though they had already been playing together with Lee Desmond, kind of flying in behind. They were doing what John was talking about, this incredible shifting. Like when Lee got sucked up to give the ball to either Michel or Mael on this left side, there was some shifting. Granted, Pep Casas did disappear, and when he did get his feet on the ball, he was holding it just a little too long, and he didn't look like he knew what he was supposed to do with the ball. He would stand on the ball. And John and I, neither one of us appreciate that style of play where you just, stand and look around. It's like, oh, now where do I go? It's like, no, have the plan beforehand. But when the shift was occurring to the left side and Mael, he was breaking at the right moment. When you're playing a striker position, you're holding the line. You're trying not to be offside so that when the ball does come to you or when it gets past your defender and you're running onto it, he's very adept yesterday at reading when it was time to go. And he was perfect. 2 times he was perfect in that moment and being able to then get in front of the goal and just slot it right in. It was a beautiful goal. I will say Lee Desmond's goal was my favorite, just because it was a cross of a corner. It was like, oh my gosh, can we do this in regular season where we score on a corner?
I think we're going to do so more because we have, 4 or 5 guys who have some height.
Yeah.
And so it's an opportunity, both bulk and height, and can screen people out and free up others. And it'll be interesting to watch this year on set pieces. One of the reasons Mael was open, though, and let's give it where it was, Kyle was keeping their best center back. He was keeping him busy the whole time and grabbing whatever. But that meant that there was only, it became 1-on-1 with the other center backs. And their midfielders weren't dropping enough. And so, it'll be interesting to watch. Even the good championship teams are going to need to be able to have not only 2 good center backs to watch these guys, but one of them's got to have speed. And there aren't a lot of teams that have that.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things we did see, and John, I know you remember seeing this too, Kyle Edwards, after he scored his goal, he was still on the pitch and it was fine. He did go up on a header against one of their center backs, but he landed awkwardly on his right leg, and it looked like he hyperextended it a little bit, and he was limping and gimping for a little while. And I was very concerned because I saw it, and it was like they didn't really do much. I don't know, maybe afterwards he'll be fine. But I did kind of check in with him, and all I said was, hey, how's the knee, when we were doing the post-game meet the team. And he basically brushed it off, but I think I don't know. We'll see. Hope he's going to be okay. Now, that brings me to Pierre Reedy was in the stands. He didn't even dress. So either he's nursing an injury or whatever, because they let everybody dress yesterday. They had, all the academy guys like Luke and Rohan. They're all, on the bench ready to go. But Pierre Reedy was not. So we're hoping we get to see him at some point in time. Let's talk a little bit about Memo and Arturo and Pep. And let's see who else. Oh, Danny Crisostomo. I was impressed. The number 27. What did you think, John, of Danny Crisostomo? I think he knows the game, and I think he reads the plays really well, and I think he's very mobile.
Danny, a couple of times when both of our wings were up forward, I noticed that he was in charge of the center backs.
Yes.
He was dead center in front. So, we had Danny on Danny at one point. And so that's going to be a little confusing. But he was just sitting right in front of Vitiello and basically centering three backs. And then the plays went through him. He also has an exchange with the Pep's position. I was noticing that they were crisscrossing and moving, moving into each other's position. And later in the game, when Blake was in there, he was having trouble with that and didn't quite understand it. Danny's going to be, I think, excellent.
I think he's the real deal
in that holding midfielder position. Yeah,
I think he's the real deal. I think Danny Crisostomo is not a fake. He's not a, I think he's the real. I think he's a little bit of an Ivan Markovic back in the day. I think we have something like that with him now. Granted, the first half was phenomenal. I think was it 3 or 4 goals to 0 in the first half? Because was that when Mael had already had his hat trick?
Yes.
Okay, so we had Lee scored. No.
No,
because Kyle scored in the first half. Yeah. So we had Lee, Kyle, 2 goals from Mael, and then right after the second half started, Mael got a 3rd goal. So that put us up 5-0, and then San Jose, the kids came back after we made a couple of subs. Now, jury's out on Mark Anthony right now. I don't know if fitness or just what. And jury's out a little bit on Forster. He's a hothead. He is wearing the number 11. Who was our hothead last year that was the 11? Serious. We were talking about that, John. My sister was all on that one. It's like, oh my God, we've got another Russell Cicerone hothead. Because Forster went after the referee, the linesman, because he felt that he was unfairly, I don't know, did he get a yellow card? Who knows? He got unfairly cautioned, or the other player, the number 5, who went up and there was some weird tackle thing that happened. And Forster, man, he was all over the field. He was in the face of the number 5, and he was in the face of the assistant referee. He was pleading his case, and he was like not backing down. And we're all like in the stands going, Forster, stop. We don't want you to get ejected. It's just a preseason friendly. But the dude's a freaking hothead, man. This is going to be fun. I mean, if he's young. I mean, he's 24. I mean, think back to when y'all were 24 and, a little bit of it was your frontal, whatever they call that, frontal lobe. Was it developed? Who knows,
So what I'm hearing is good candidate for most yellow cards for podcast winner dinner?
Yes.
He's got to get in the game first.
Yeah, he's got to get in the game. Yeah, he didn't see a whole lot of game time. So Rihanna, are you taking all this in?
I have notes on this stuff. I have one question. Like, who got the assists?
On what?
On the goal, on all the goals, if you guys remember.
Okay, Mael was supposed to. There was supposed to be because he touched the ball in his first goal. He touched the ball so much before he dribbled it in, they didn't give an assist.
Okay.
But it should have been Michel, because Michel was the one who popped it forward for him. But Mael handled the ball so long, he dribbled it from like almost the half line in. So I think that's why they didn't offer an assist. And then for Lee, it was Michel off the header, right?
Yes.
And then for Mael's second goal,
Arturo.
Initially, I think they gave it to Jack, and then they called that back and gave it to Arturo. Is that how that one went?
I think so.
And then Kyle's goal, trying to remember who set Kyle up.
I think it was Arturo also.
Probably, yeah, and Arturo I think is going to also be the real deal. Yeah, Arturo. And then the last goal from Mael, I was in the bathroom. Or getting a drink of water. I don't know what I was doing. I wasn't on the pitch. Oh, I was buying the freaking sweater. Never mind. Sorry, there's a story behind the freaking sweater, and that's not the word we were using.
It might have been Lee. I can't remember.
Okay.
Or it may have gone bang, 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 and up and over.
Yeah.
But somebody read it, and Mael knew what was coming.
So I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see a lot of assists from Michelle. I think we're going to see some assists from Jack still. I think he's going to be setting people up. And I think Arturo is probably going to be one of the key guys focused on assists. Memo. Okay, so Roro, when he was playing in the role of the 8, Roro did a lot of work on both sides of the ball, defensively and attacking. Now, I don't know if Memo's fitness, I don't know where he is with fitness, but there were a couple times where I was even yelling, run, Memo, because I'm used to Roro tracking back. When the play is over, I'm used to him, okay, play is over, we're done in front of the goal, we didn't do what we wanted to do, now get back. I wasn't, and I think it's just a fitness thing, and I know that coach will sort everybody out when, because they're really good. Oh my God, Eric, he was screaming at Lee. Everybody was screaming at Chibi. Chibi came in for Freddie halfway through, and to see Eric, one of the assistants who never yells, up and yelling at our defenders, it was crazy. And I think it was after the first goal got scored against us. Both Neil and Eric were yelling at Lee and Chibi. It was like, we couldn't understand a word anybody was saying, but we knew that. And then at the meet team event, it was like, Lee, what was he yelling at you? And Lee looks at me and he goes, I didn't understand him, but I know it was important. It was like one of those kind of statements.
Yeah, it was a situation that was one where they still had the hole because in that case, that was before Blake got moved back. So I can't remember who was in that Danny role. And so that person didn't get back. So Chibi was out of position, and therefore Lee was out of position.
Yep.
And I think they were yelling at Lee because Lee could take somebody yelling at him, and they didn't want to mess with the kids' heads. And so that's Chibi was out of it yesterday. He did not play well, and it's not because he did. I think it's because he really didn't know the new positioning. I think he was trying to play his old style, and he knew
100%.
He always had 2 CBs behind him, whereas now he only has the 1. Plus, he has to rely upon midfielders and wingers. So
perfect description.
I think, and that was the other thing about the Emperor, Mark Anthony. You could just see him looking around, going, "Wow, this is faster than I was expecting." I think he just didn't realize how fast the game was, and also I don't think he's fit enough yet.
No.
So if there's any concern about him, I think that was one of it.
Yep.
But getting back to Arturo, just to let you know, to me, Arturo was the MVP. The way he was going around that field. I know there was a hat trick, but to be honest, that, for lack of a better term, that was an easy hat trick. But Arturo was in the middle of things. He was barking orders to people. He was telling people where they needed to go when the younger kids came in. I did notice that there still is a disconnect between our newer players and our, especially our younger players that have been around. And I think part of that's because they don't know the new role. And these vets are coming in knowing that they these positions already. And it's just a matter of coming together. And the kids are, not quite there. Blake was sort of just shaking his head a couple times, but they had him playing two different positions. So it's like, oh my goodness.
They had him pressing. They had Blake pressing for a little while, and then he had to drop in the hole. So yeah, it's like, poor guy. You know, he was trying to just get everything all sorted out.
Yeah, well, this is the game to make the mistakes, to learn from, and now they got 2 weeks, right, to be match fit. I hope Mark Anthony gets to be match fit because I'm telling you, we need him to be match fit. That would be such a great player to have.
And Luis, yes, he is a big body out there. Let's face it. When we took a look at the big bodies that we have, this is very different. But then we saw these skill guys, Arturo, Danny Crisostomo. I mean, we still have guys with incredible skill that aren't super big. Memo, I mean, for that matter. I mean, he's more of a tactician, that kind of thing. But yeah, it would be nice to see Mark Anthony. Now, we did get to see Big Jacob. He is a big boy. His legs are beefy. I mean, it's a different kind of big than what we're used to. He's 6'5". He's a big kid. Now, John, I know one of the goals you said it looked like he didn't see the ball because he didn't even move. But I think one of those goals was on him. I know it's like the center backs were kind of a little skewed and a little out of position, but that's to be expected. Coach wasn't happy, of course, when they got a couple goals on us, but they did see. Jacob did get to see game time, which is important for him to see West Coast soccer. Let's face it, Sac Republic, we're different.
And the crowd makes it different too. And I think we're going to scare the pants off of a couple of our own players on opening night. I don't think that, some of these guys even know how big and rowdy this crowd can be.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Well, they're going to see it right in 2 weeks. The home opener, I'm sure it's going to be a sold out crowd. And yeah, no, it's good that Jacob got some playing time because in less than a month, he's going to have a game, right? Against Burrito Boys. That is our assumption.
Yeah.
So
Farolito, it's going to be harder than what we just played last night.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
100% harder.
They were harder than half the teams we played last year.
That's so true.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a team that's playing. I don't know. They're playing in the wrong league. They should be in. They should be in USL League One, is what I say. And hopefully, they can make the jump at some point. But yeah. So yeah, that was the game. 5-2.
We did see Davian. Davian Kimbrough got on the pitch. I mean, he's got pillow feet. That's the beauty of Davian, and he does anticipate the run. He does anticipate being let loose, but he didn't get very much playing time, and he didn't get very many opportunities to be on the ball. But the kid really has good feet, and he has good anticipation at the front line. So, we'll see how all that works out when we get a chance to have him on the pitch.
Yeah. One last thing on tactics, just to let you know, is I think you're not going to see as many clean sheets this year. Our defense is going to have holes in it because of the way we're setting up and the way that we're rotating. But I think you're going to see more 4-2 and 3-1 type victories. I don't think the coaches are as concerned, and then so Danny's going to have to work a little bit harder in the back. Hopefully he can make a few more stops than he did last year. But, last year is because nobody was shooting at him, on those days. So I think you're looking at they're gearing this to be a much more offensive team.
I think we're going to really see what the Neil Collins, what he is expecting. Because, every coach, when they come in new, they build from the back. So last year we got a chance to see the building from the back, but not a whole lot of goals scored. I think, to John's point, I think things are going to be a little different. That being said, when Jared Timmer comes back and he's healthy, if we have to go back to a 3 center back role positionally, we'll be able to do that, with skill, with guys that get our game. So if we need to, we could change course, but we'll have to do things differently through the midfield. So it's just wait and see.
Well, the good thing is it sounds like we're taking care of in every position, right? I mean, it's like some of the players might not get that much playing time, but we know injuries happen, and last year was a bit rough, right? Where we were trying to figure out ways who's gonna actually play in that position, or getting some academy players to be in positions where maybe they weren't best fit, or just just having them get into these games without getting much playing time previously. So yeah, it's going to be a good competitive environment, is what it seems like, right? In all positions. I mean, including goalkeeper, right? Don't discount that as well, depending on how things go there. Actually, now that you actually showed the scarf, Sharon, I forgot to mention it earlier. You want to share the scarf that TVB just presented, or they just gave out to members?
Yep.
We just talked about it last week.
So the member scarf on one side is typical, it's the Tower Bridge Battalion, and it shows the logo and, all the things, Tower Bridge Battalion, with the shield on either side. The colors are very vibrant, but on the flip side, this is what I think is really, really cool, is they show the other squads that are part of Tower Bridge Battalion. So Los Desmadrosos are also, their shield is, their name is on here. And then at the other end of that is the ultras, and so almost every club has an ultras, and we do too. And it actually has our lat and longitude. It has our location is on there. But the really cool thing is the picture of the people that are in the Tower Bridge Battalion. The people that are on the scarf, that's an actual photo that Scott took and got, it's on the scarf. And the words on here that says "Glory, Glory, Sacramento" is a nod to 2014, because that was the cheer. Glory, Glory, Sacramento. It goes on and on. It was a perfect cheer. It was a great cheer. It would be lovely to bring that one back more frequently, but it was a nod to the old days of the battalion and Sacramento Republic. So cheers to Tower Bridge Battalion, and thank you to all of them, their board, for, moving forward with this. Now, so they had an Tower Bridge Battalion, real quick, they had a town hall on Friday where they explained that anybody who is in the stands, doesn't matter where you sit, where your seats are. We said this already in another podcast. You can be a member of Tower Bridge Battalion. You can get this cool scarf. You can chant from your seat in section 105, section 205, section 118 across the way. It doesn't matter where you sit. Anybody can belong to Tower Bridge Battalion. And a lot of what they're doing with some of the funds, if they get extra, is they're putting that back into either some sort of nonprofit, a charity, something that benefits the community. And they're joining forces a little bit more so with the club to do events, like helping community style events. We'll see a little bit more of those. It's actually, I think what we're going to see is something wonderful this year, building into when, we're going to be at the new stadium. So happy days. Join, as Brian said last time, join. It's not much money.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that they're doing all that they put the members, right? That picture you said they took last year on there. And I also like the other side. It gives me memories to that first season, right? When they had that first scarf, right? I mean, different material scarf, but I feel like it was the same design, right? The Tower Bridge Battalion in cursive, the shield on both sides. So it's nice that they're paying homage, right, to that first scarf, right, on the last season at this stadium that we're currently in. So they did something there. I hope the team does something as well. I mean, I know Cal Expo, the situation, but we can't forget that we won our first championship there, right? So it'd be kind of nice if the new away kit has that, which hopefully we could see it soon, right? I mean,
That's
I don't
right.
know if you've heard anything, but it'd be
Yeah,
great.
the talk is the new away kit. You're right. That's the new kit for this season. It's going to be the away kit. But we'll see. I mean, they still have to hire the vice president of marketing. You know, they don't. There's a vacancy at that level, so hopefully they're honing in on, you know, somebody. We send best wishes to Ben, who was the former vice president of marketing. So best wishes to him in continuing his venture with what he's doing.
So let's go ahead and talk about what happened after the game, right? The Meet the Team event, that they did it, and it was great because, again, we had the full squad pretty much, right? I mean, pretty much everyone was there, I'm assuming. And then they also had a really cool, I don't know, like almost like a college, like club poster with everyone on it. So tell us more, you know, Sharon, John, you guys were there afterwards. How was that like? Let me put your full screen so we can share that.
We lost John. For a minute, I lost my sister, but then we lost John. So I don't know what happened to John. I don't know if he grabbed a poster or was able to see any of the players, but this is a new poster. We took a vote as to which picture we liked the best. We liked Freddie Kleeman's photo a lot. I mean, these guys are doing, like you said, it was like a college shot. They're hilarious. Some of the guys actually had really good poses for, you know, this thing. And Jared Timmer, who's Mr. Serious during the game, look at him. He's just having the best time, you know, on media day when they took all these photos.
Might be the first time I've seen him smiling too.
Yeah, right. He's all about, you know, he's all about the match and being serious. Anyhow, so that was the poster. John, where did you go afterwards?
I got in line, and then I realized that I wasn't ready to stand in line that long, so to get in. So yeah, I ended up bailing.
I see.
You know, I knew all the players from watching them on the field. So that was my main reason for going to the preseason game is who are these guys? What do they look like on the field so that I can recognize who's got the ball? And for the most part, I've got that down now. And so it'll be easier to do my announcing from my seat as my, you know, companions around me enjoy or tell me they enjoy. So, but yeah, I mean, do I need to talk to each and every one? I'll talk to them after the game, you know, if they wander around.
Sure. No, it was kind of fun meeting the new guys. Malongo, I was able to congratulate him on the hat trick, and I think somebody caught that on one of the clips on their social media when they were showing the post game meet the team. The one with me high-fiving Malongo was in there, so that was pretty sweet. I wasn't expecting anything like that, but it was pretty cool to meet him, and you know, to just say, you know, nice hat trick, you know, and then to tell him that I thought he just walked it in, you know, that he made it look so easy, which kind of is his job. So yeah, so it's not in the stories, it's in the slide deck. So it's not that one. There's several photos in the slide deck of, yeah. So there's Neil. That's so cute. There it is.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, there's me and Malongo. Now, right after that photo, I ran into the girls. Now I'm going to tell you a real quick story. When we all first got to the match, we saw one of our besties, Brian Danzel's wife, was wearing this incredible sweater. And we're like, oh, where did you get that sweater? That is just the most cool sweater. So if you go on Jane Walker's socials, you'll see the sweater. I mean, I can actually maybe find the photo and send it to you. It's also on my social, but it's on a reel, so it's going to be really hard to see it. It's a really cool brown sweater. and on it is like this puffed up words that just says Republic FC on it. Right after that photo, I ran into the girls because I had bought one of those sweaters. Rosa and Anselin bought that sweater because we saw it being modeled before the game and we just had to have it. So we went over to the team store. Everybody bought a sweater, and there's going to be more people buying that sweater because it was such a cold sweater, and it's warm, and it was cold last night. So at the end of the day, it became, I stripped down. I had so many clothes on and so many layers to put that sweater on so that I could be in a photo with all the girls wearing the same sweater. So going on Jane's social media, are you friends with Jane Walker, Luis?
Yeah, I'll try and like pull it up over here.
Yeah. So if you are friends with Jane Walker, you'll see this sweater. Now everybody's going to get this sweater because it is it's an amazing sweater. But there I was in the middle of the field stripping down just so that I could have the sweater on. So yeah. So that was my claim to fame last night. Okay.
I wonder if it's available on the team store. Maybe I'm like, actually, that might be the easier route.
Okay, you can stop showing that. Yeah, because that's kind of getting old now. Anyhow, so that was really cool to be able to see all the different players and say hi to the guys that we already knew. And you know, I had a chance to see my neighbor Luke. He was signing with Blake. He was in the same little pod of guys. And he was more than gracious. He had a ton of friends because he's local. You know, he lives here. So all of his buddies came out to the game. You know, his family and his friends, they were all there. And his line, or the line that he and Blake were in because they're local, was super long. It was like the longest line ever. The coach's line, shortest line. Everybody wants to see the players. So it was really easy to go and chat with the coaches, which was fabulous, you know, to say the least. It was a good night to see everybody, and it was a cold night. So that sweater, yes, right there, that particular, yep, that one that you're on right there, that's the sweater. So if you're looking for something different, that sweater's pretty boss, and it's soft. It's a good sweater, but I'll have to send you a photo, please. So yeah, that was the Meet the Team event. And then there was one kind of last little thing about last night. Gosh, I don't know how good I'm going to preface this without being a total idiot. When I first started working for the club in 2013, 14, right around there was somebody that used to come to our games, and they were part of USL. They were part of like growing soccer everywhere, and I was always impressed. And my boss, Graham Smith, always used to introduce me, and and I got to know this person, and I was always impressed with his positive vibe and complimentary to everybody, even though he was at a level much different than all of us. And then he went on and he did other things. And one of the things that he did do was like, oh, no, you went to that club? Oh, man, I was so sad. Well, apparently we're getting somebody that I already knew who will be probably in our leadership. So I just want to tell everybody that it's a good thing, and I'm happy. And there was a lot of folks who had figured it out and were chatting him up kind of quietly off to the side. And I think in our leadership at the club, I think we're gonna be happy. We're gonna be going forward nicely. So that's what I have to say about that until the club, makes their own announcement.
Yeah, which, like I said before, it might actually probably be before opening night, right? It seems like it would be pretty good timing.
Yeah,
to know that, but it's a good thing to know that it's someone who has been around for a while, right? Someone who has a lot of experience with other clubs as well. So it definitely seems like someone who understands the USL, right? It's not just someone who understands the sport, but understands, what this league is about.
100%. Yep. It's gonna be a nice year, and just I had a chance to chat with him and to hear him say things like it's already amazing where the club has gone and what's happened, and that they feel really like almost blessed to know that they'll be part of even going to a higher, taking something higher, just the humility and the humbleness, I think that's what we like about the Republic is, the ability to kind of mesh, and we're all working together, not working, but we're all in the same boat to love the sport and grow the sport and grow what's up without losing our flavor. And our flavor has always been like back in the day, no Republic, no, Tower Bridge Battalion basically told Kevin Nagel at the time, I think it was, or was it the different ownership group? It's like no Republic, no party. If you don't keep it, when we were going to go MLS, if you don't keep it as Sacramento Republic, we're done. And that was a community statement, and the club heard it. So it's like this effort to keep things humble and, connected, so to speak, connected with community, I think is part of our DNA. Anyhow, Rian, you've been quiet. Questions?
Yeah, I don't have that many questions. But it just is encouraging to hear how the Republic is going about this offseason, like what they're doing, what they're trying to improve, and like the caliber of players that they're bringing in is awesome to see. They're really gunning for it this year, and I'm excited to see how it shakes out.
And that they're creating like deeper positions, like bringing Scott Moak on in a more full-time role. He's like Mr. Community. If you look at his pedigree, he's all about building community. He's fabulous that way. He and Kevin Burdick used to work hand in hand on what opportunities were needed out there in the community, and then finding a way to fund that sort of stuff and be part of it. And, Scott's great that way. Elevating Connor Sutton, our favorite guy. Is there special music still for Connor Sutton that sounded angelic? I don't know if we still have that special music. Remember, anytime we said his name,
Yeah,
we would
it's been a
always
while.
yeah. I used to love that. And, now he's, at a much higher level, and it's wonderful. He's part of entertainment and game day. I mean, they recognize the good talent. They brought in other people to help Michael Donato. It's just wonderful to see the growth of the club, and yet the friendliness is still there, So we'll see how it goes.
There's also, with the new president potentially coming on, I think there's a gearing of the organization towards USL Premier, as well as getting the stadium open. And if you even listen to some of the players and even some of the management group, they're always talking now about getting trophies to display in the new stadium. So that's something that I think everybody's gearing towards that. I think the quality of players that they're signing are people that they possibly anticipate being able to use on the move up, and still have them under this salary. So we'll see, how that ends up working out. But I think they're gearing towards, even if it's just the USL trophy, it's still a trophy in the tank, and go for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of trophies in the tank, John and I and Brian Damsel and a handful of others are gearing to go to Boise in July, and we will soon have an inside source at Boise that may give us a leg up on where might be a hotel to, that we could stay at. And well, he's not really an inside source. He's our friend, Jonathan Ricketts. Okay. And he wants to be on our pod. He can't wait to be on our pod. So we will hopefully get him on the pod. And if it works out for next weekend to have him, be interviewed on the pod, would love to have him on to hear his experience. I mean, he was at Miami last year. Now he's at Boise. And I'd love to hear more about, what it's like for him there. And then, what his thoughts are going into, we're going to be playing him, or not him, but we're going to be playing their squad in July for the USL Cup. So,
and if I get any more information about Brooklyn, I'll pass that along too.
Right. And, there's somebody else that was talking about going to Brooklyn when we were at the Tower Bridge. We were talking about that. I think there might be one or two people that were also interested in making that trip, John.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll have to get that out there. Now, Brooklyn is a place where Todd has basically said he would most likely, if he were to attend a USL match with us there, it would be Brooklyn. So, heads up, if he's available on that day, he'll probably come to the match.
Yeah, they're not in town that weekend, so unfortunately, I can't go watch them there. But we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. I mean, I'm really glad you guys are going to that game, and yeah, hopefully next week we can have Ricketts on. That would be really cool to hear what he's up to since his days with us, right? Which weren't that long ago, but it seems like it was a long time ago now. But yeah, going back to John's point, I mean, I think with how much the team has spent this season, there's an obligation to win even just the USL Cup, at least, right? But there's no excuses. We need to win something. The team has spent like so much this season, and yeah, I feel like the expectations are like, okay, you have to win something, right? You have to win USL Cup at least this season. We can't let it go like last season. And speaking of signings, I know they saw some playing time yesterday, but post podcast, we did actually get the two signings happening, which shout out to the team for doing it before we record a podcast this time, because we know usually it's like the day after it's posted, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, here's another one.
Just watch. They're gonna add another one tomorrow morning. Just watch.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, right? There's still like plenty of time left for a new player to be like match fit for like opening night. But first, out of these two players, let's talk about Mark Anthony Kaye, right? I'm familiar with him in his LAFC days. I'm pretty sure at some point maybe we may have played against him either in the friendly or Open Cup game against LAFC a few years ago. But aside from that, he's been with other clubs. He actually does have some USL playing experience, by the way. He was with Louisville City back in 2016, 2017, before he made the jump to MLS, right? Previously, Toronto FC too, but MLS-wise, that's where he was before that. Then he made the jump to a few other MLS clubs like Colorado, Toronto, New England, and most recently last year, he was not far from us over with the Quakes. So lots of playing time there. And of course, if you guys remember last World Cup, he plays with Canada. He actually got the chance to play in the World Cup a few years ago, right, at Qatar. So, and maybe even play this year. Who knows, right? If he's able to like keep his level up and, be healthy this season, he might be able to get another call up, which would be great for us, right? How amazing would it be to say like one of our players is playing in the World Cup? So, Rian, I know you didn't do a blog post quite yet for it because it's just literally happened not too long ago, but like, what were your thoughts on Mark Anthony Kaye joining the club?
Yeah. So, firstly, I doubt we're going to be seeing him in the World Cup. His last call up to Canada was in 2023, but this signing paired with the next person we're going to discuss, Memo Rodríguez, the caliber of this midfield. This might be, on paper, this might be the most talented midfield we've had in terms of like the accolades that they have. Mark Anthony Kaye, you're gonna hear a lot of people say, box to box. He's all over the place. He can show up in a defensive tackle and then move forward and then create an assist. He's that kind of player. We've seen a lot of midfielders where they have a specialty in like either defense. So, you're thinking of like Merkovich, Arnold Lopez, Luis Felipe, or, the attack, which is like, Nick Ross. This player, Mark Anthony Kaye, he can do it all. I was talking to some of like my Portland friends, and they were like kind of shocked that Mark Anthony would be coming down to Sacramento. This was a very unexpected move, honestly. But yeah, Mark Anthony Kaye, his stats speak for themselves. MLS All-Star, with LAFC, had the Supporters Shield in MLS for a little bit. Concacaf Champions League. This is a player that has played at the highest level in the club level and for his national team. And he's going to bring all that experience to Sacramento. He's going to be a leadership figure in the locker room. I doubt we're going to see him be playing full 90s. Most of his appearances for San Jose last season was coming off the bench. But, he's still a high-quality player. He can still contribute day one if you need him to. And I'm excited to see this guy on our field.
Yeah, no, I do think, depending how things go, right? But he could potentially be a captain on the club, right? Someone of his experience level, and yeah, I think that could definitely happen. And yeah, I could see why your Portland friends would be a little surprised, right? Because I feel like he was kind of making the move around MLS, and it seemed like that could have been the next logical move to stay in the West Coast, right? But I don't know, maybe he was in California for a while, right, down in LAFC, and he probably wanted to stay here, right? And it would be interesting to hear how he got approached, right? Like, who approached them? How did that connection happen?
Well, San Jose is just around the corner, and Lord knows how many times we play San Jose for Open Cup or whatever. So there are connections between us and San Jose. There always has been. But one thing I will say, and it's something that we've talked about in person, is I think Mark Anthony, when he's fit, will feel a lot like Jeremy Hall. And Jeremy Hall was one of our better defensive midfielders that we've had. And he was also one of our captains back then. And just a happy guy, people that are just happy to play the sport. And I think that's what you get with Mark Anthony. I think he's just incredibly happy to play this sport as long as he has. I think the heart, his heart is really good, just from the little bit we're able to see. And then speaking to him live and in person, I think he'll resonate. Now, I can't wait to talk a little bit about Memo, because that's an entirely different player.
Yeah, so let's talk about Memo, another guy that has plenty of MLS playing experience. Year younger than Mark Anthony Kaye, by the way, 30 years old there. But yeah, he's been around a few different teams, also including USL, right? So started out with Houston Dynamo. They moved on to play with Charleston Battery on loan in 2015. Was with the now extinct Rio Grande Valley Toros, RGV, back in 2016. Then he went back to Houston Dynamo, spent a few years right there, right? That's where he's known more, is for being at Houston. And then we remember the Toros were like a Houston affiliate, right, at one point. He went back to them, then came out to the West Coast to play with Galaxy for a few games, then Austin FC, and then most recently, for the last 2 years, was with Sporting KC. 45 games played, 2 goals scored, is his most recent playing experience, right? So he's been pretty active, I would say, right, within the last 2 years. So, Rian, we'll go back to you on this one. What do you think about Memo's playing experience?
It's funny that hearing Memo's description from the preseason game, but reading the quotes and looking at his highlights, the word that comes to my mind is engine in the midfield. People just let me see where the quote was. Coach Collins says he's a top player with top level experience who brings quality in possession, leadership in the midfield, and a relentless work that fits the identity we're building. Yeah, he is from the Dynamo system. He is a solid acquisition. Like, again, another veteran, another MLS player that has played everywhere and can bring that experience to Sacramento. He lines up mainly in the attacking midfield, so expect him to play behind, Edwards, Malongo, the front line. He'll be playing underneath them, trying to give them service, trying to bring in that late run into the box. He'll be mostly in support for the attack. Yeah, another solid acquisition. I can't fault any of these signings. These are pretty solid signings for the club. I'm gonna be curious to see who Collins picks on opening day for who's gonna start in that midfield, because this is a very talented pool of midfielders that we have, and it's a tough decision to see who gets to start.
A good problem to have.
Really good competition during training. And you've even heard a couple players talking about that too, is that if they want to earn a spot, they have to beat out good players in training. And the other nice thing is that with the training is that they're facing the same offenses that a lot of the other teams are running. So from the defensive standpoint, they're getting good training on the training pitch and not just reacting on the big pitch. One other just quick thing on Memo is that I don't remember a lot of players, just, one of those things. Unfortunately, I focus, and plus I'm getting way too old. But the other thing is I remember Memo from RGV. And I remember what a pest he was, what a pain in the backside he was. He's the kind of player you want on your team because everybody else is going to complain about him, but you're going to love him. So that was the one thing where as soon as they announced it, I was just, fantastic.
So speaking of relentlessness and that peskiness, we did see some of that in our tactics yesterday in winning the ball back. When we would lose possession, we did try really hard to keep the opposing team penned in their half. But when we lost the ball, we had that swarm, and it was not just one guy, two guys. Sometimes there were three guys collapsing in on where the ball was, especially if it was on the outsides of the pitch. And Memo was part of all of that. Memo was part of that. Pep was trying. Arturo was part of that. Michelle was part of that swarm to regain possession. And I'm hoping we see more of that. I'm hoping we see that a lot, that we're going to work hard to regain possession. Because last season, we were kind of leaving it up to Luis Felipe and some of the defenders, to win the duels and win the ball back for us so we could restart. But I think we have better tactical ability, or technical ability is what I'm looking for, that to quickly win the ball back and to quickly find the pass to get out of pressure. One of the things that we did lack last year was finding that pressure release play. And last night, even though we were only playing, the 2 squad, we did see our guys figuring out how to quickly get out of pressure. So looking forward to that with Memo, being part of that whole squad of finding those opportunities.
I just want to add in here. Sharon, you hit the nail on the head. Like, Neil Collins likes to play with a high press. We saw glimpses of that last season, but now we have players that Neil is actively choosing to better fit that system. Because when you have the big bodies of Malengo, Edwards, Ajago hunting you down, that's intimidating already. But then you add in the peskiness of Arturo and Memo, right behind them, and Jack and Michelle, that seems like a really annoying group of players to just find a way through. Yeah, this will be a fun high press system that I could see for Sacramento.
And the ability, our aerial ability is still killer. I mean, we were seeing Jack winning headers last night. We were seeing Lee winning all of his headers. Freddie, all of his headers. Michelle winning aerial balls as well as ground duels. So, it's like if we're that way a lot, I mean, that was impressive. John, do you remember seeing how many times Lee was winning aerial headers?
Yeah, and it's not just there. It's in the midfield we were actually doing a lot. But the other thing that impressed me on it, and I hated it last year, is that it was always an aerial header to an aerial header to an aerial header to an aerial header to lose the ball.
Yeah.
These guys know how to bring the ball down. And that's what I've always been looking for. I really like the fact that they know how to bring the ball down to their feet and then move it. They know where, there were some bad passes last night, but they were to open spaces because they expected somebody should have been there. And it's like, oh, and they look at the player and the other player would just sort of nod and, I was supposed to be there. I screwed up. So they know the world around them, which is really nice to see. They're not just heading the ball upfield or heading the ball back. And then the back passes had a purpose. That was the other thing I was glad to see. And then finally, the last decent thing is they were attacking up the middle a lot, not just down the sidelines. And so that is, they're using the full field. Last year, you could guard the outside eighth of the field, outside the box, just guard that much and you could stop us. There was nothing in the, nobody was in the middle. Now you've got 4 or 5 guys crashing down the middle.
Yep. We've got our options. So our podcast winner dinner contest is going to get really hard.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Rion can't be so confident because it's not going to be up to the stats this season. It's just going to be guessing the right player because there's so much talent, right? Seeing who can play more games this season.
Rion, if you're noticing, he's squirming a little bit.
It's exciting.
He's kind of hiding the trophy too, right? You can barely see it.
It's still there.
Oh, that's right. And then you got given the backdrop for that now, right? Did that come
not yet.
out?
No, I have to.
Yet.
I'm gonna give it to him
backdrop
for opening night. Yeah.
Backdrop.
So it'll be more. It'll actually stand out more. You could actually see it.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
this has been really good, you guys. This has been nice. I've loved rehashing last night, Saturday night, in the preseason match. John, you're a blessing. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you as well, John, as always for coming on the podcast. Any last final parting words here?
No, I just think it's going to be a great season. But again, don't think that the team is not going to get scored upon. They're going for goals. They're going and they're going to be exciting, but I think they're going to give up some goals. And I just hope Danny realizes that and doesn't get frustrated by it. So, onward. This will be, let's go Republic.
Yeah, for me, I'll have my written thoughts out on Mark Anthony and Memo out soon. Hopefully, I've been working on those for a little bit. I'll have some more articles in the coming weeks. My spreadsheet that I use will be up and ready soon. So yeah, busy couple of weeks for me. And also the Sac Republic documentary, Huddersfield documentary should be out. So go watch that, I guess. Right? That comes out today.
Yeah.
This morning, yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, that seems like a fun watch. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, go check that out and check out the website. I'm gonna keep posting there and go Republic.
And I certainly, Rion, cannot wait for Tuesday trivia to return, but not putting any pressure on you because you've got a lot on your plate already. And you started your work week. You started your work week. Today was your Monday. So to everybody who has a work week ahead of them, may you have a great week ahead. And Go Republic, we'll see you on the home opener on March 7th and expect Tower Bridge Battalion to be in full voice. Lots of good things coming our way with respect to a wonderful season. And let's get this.
Yeah, as for me, as always, I put it down on the ticker here that we have on the screen. But check out sacsoccerpod.com. As Rian said, he's going to be posting those blogs on there. I'm showing it here on the screen. You guys could check out the All Is Squall blog right there. You can listen to all the episodes that we've recorded since day one. You can learn a little bit more about the podcast if it's your first time or you started to listen recently there. You can leave us a review on here. Doesn't have to be on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. You can actually literally leave a review on the website here, giving us your star rating, titling your review, and then giving us your thoughts, and then your name there, of course. If you post it there, it'll get posted on our main site. So check it out there. But if you want to do it on Apple Podcast, that would be really grateful because it can actually also display on the website there. You can also contact us there. If you have any thoughts, if you have any questions to ask us, feel free to leave your thoughts there. You can also record a voicemail. It's been a while since we've heard one, but it's always cool when we do get those because then we could add them here on the podcast. And so if you want to do that, you could do it on your computer. You could do it on your phone. As long as you have your microphone on, you can actually record it and we'll get it and we can actually feature it here on a future episode. You can always watch our video recordings or just other YouTube videos that we have on there on the videos tab. You can also do it through the episodes themselves. So there's always different options either to watch or listen to the podcast right there. And then just one more thing, home opener happening in 2 weeks from now. Check it out. Get your tickets if you haven't yet. We have, as you guys could see here on the screen if you're watching the video, we don't have that many tickets left. It looks like a lot of tickets have been sold. And as we get closer to the opening night, I'm pretty sure it'll be a sold out game there. But just check out, pick out your seats. I'll be biased, right? But I recommend seating around 105 if you're able to get the best viewing experience because you get to actually see the match right in the center field there. Either side is great, especially now when it's not really that hot. If you're sitting on the other side of 105, they're cool. It's not hot. So take advantage of that while the weather is still pretty good and not 100 degrees there. And also, by the way, if you guys have the SeatGeek app, highly recommend you guys get it if you don't. Sometimes they'll send you coupons to actually get discount codes. Like I was actually able to get a discount. I think it was 20% off some tickets to this game. So if you haven't yet, just make sure you have that app because sometimes they'll send out some really cool coupons that you can actually use by a specific date. But they might roll something around before home opener. So check it out. Also, Sharon has more stickers, more podcast stickers. So if you guys want one, be at the next game. Go and catch us. Sharon's at 105, so go to 105 there because that's where she'll be at. And I think I'm gonna be at 204 for this game.
Oh, you're gonna move down. We know you're gonna move
down. We'll all eventually be down there as well.
I gotta give a shout out to a couple people. I forgot. Robert, it's that same situation. You're walking along. It was when we were going to do the Meet the Team event. And all of a sudden, some guy must have heard my voice. Next thing I know, or he looks at me and he goes, State of the Republic podcast. And I'm like, my head's whipping around. It's like, how, what? And I don't know this person, right? But now I do. And I got to, shout out to him for recognizing and saying how he enjoys the podcast. And I also gave a shout out at the same time to Quail City, because they now have a podcast and they did a great job. And, they have their analysis is a little different than ours, but it's all part of the same family of loving our team and, a fan-based podcast. You can't fault that. And then also to Nate and Monica, they were there last night, and I'm going to give them some new stickers because these are the smaller ones. I've got big ones and small ones, but these are little tiny guys. Look how small it is. It'll fit in it's little tiny guys, but they're so cute. Anyhow, yep, stickers. Good job, Rion.
Yeah,
Anyhow.
so we got a brand new order, so we're pretty much stocked up too. So we're trying to get more of those out there this season, and maybe get some more gear too. So just be on the lookout for that. I hope to see what else we can get our logo on
I
for
would love
this season.
for us to get T-shirts, that we can actually give away or sell.
Oh yeah, and they'll be better than the ones we wore to the Open Cup final.
Oh my God!
Remember the white shirts with the logo that we had there? So
yeah, the big old fat logo that was sitting right in the middle.
Yeah.
They were funky.
So yeah, we'll be doing a little more of that this season. But,
John, he's got his sticker. Perfect. All right.
So,
I know it's about ready for me to say 3 words.
Oh yeah. All right, y'all. Well, again, thank you so much to everyone for listening or watching to the podcast. We're going to be here next Sunday because season is around the corner, and next Sunday we'll actually give our predictions. So be thinking about those predictions overall season and FC Tulsa, and because it's going to be a critical decision. I'm telling you, I think it's going to be the winner's going to be the winner, like Rion won last season because he picked the overall. It's going to be an overall pick again. I think it's going to end up being that. But yeah, we'll also, of course, give our preview to FC Tulsa. So be on the lookout for the next podcast next Sunday. Maybe have an interview. We'll see if Ricketts can join us next Sunday. So yeah. All right, y'all. We hope you have a good morning, good night, whenever you're listening or watching, and you'll hear us next Sunday. You're on Stay There Public Podcast.
Cue the music.